Is it fair to say that the whole panel today thinks that we should look for the truth?
Absolutely.
Does anybody disagree with that? Raise your hand if you disagree with that. Okay, and we should actually enforce the law. Does anybody disagree with the fact that we should enforce the law? So we all agree. All right, great. We're starting out very well. I've heard some conversation about how the Department of Justice and investigations, and so just to be clear on this, Ms. Clayton, has there been an FBI investigation into this issue?
I'm not privy to that sort of thing. I have no idea.
Norma, okay, so how about this? Is there a lead DOJ attorney that's been assigned to lead the investigation into this matter?
Mr. Duffy, I'm a civil litigator. I
just
have
wondering
no
if you're-
knowledge or access to that sort of information,
just
which
wondering if
I
you're-
understand has to be kept. I don't think it's allowed to be shared with people like me.
So you're not aware of any lead attorney at the Department of Justice? Does anybody on the panel know of a lead attorney at the Department of Justice who is leading this investigation?
No, I've heard nothing of.
I haven't either. I want to have the panel refer to Exhibit B2 and B3. Starting with B2, I believe that this was a document that was received from a national abortion provider conference, and it seems to indicate that there could be financial profitability for an abortion provider if they engage with the blocked out middle person, right? So if we look at the statute, it prohibits valuable consideration to be paid for the transfer of body parts. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And so if someone is getting reimbursed for a body part, it's pretty tough to make a profit, isn't it? If you're just getting reimbursed, you can't make money. Am I missing something, Mr. Sakia?
I agree. Totally.
Okay. So, but if you're getting more than just reimbursement, you can make a profit.
Yes.
Does that concern anybody on the panel that then maybe the DOJ and the FBI isn't looking into this? Mr. Norton?
I think that's highly concerning. That's why we're here, to encourage this panel to do that.
I would agree with you. Ms. Foster, I've heard a lot of my friends across the aisle talk about this being an issue of women's health care. In regard to Section 42 USC Section 289, this is a section, I believe, that talks about valuable consideration for fetal body parts. Is there anything in that section that you're aware of that relates to women's health care?
There isn't. And I would add that as a woman, and in fact, as a post-abortive woman, I am deeply offended that abortion clinics are permitting improper access by procurement businesses to really exploit us, to potentially place us under duress, and to put our children on display for sale in the way that chicken livers are in a grocery store. It deeply offends me.
Thank you. Ms. Clayton, I'm sure you've had a chance to look at Exhibit B2. Is it your testimony that this document has been altered in any way?
B2? I have no knowledge of any of these documents, and if these documents are anything like the videotape, I would start with the assumption that they probably have been altered. But I don't have any personal knowledge one way or the other. I never saw them until they were sent to me by email. I think it was yesterday.
So so you've had a chance to look at them since yesterday. You're an impartial witness today who's making assertions that they're probably doctored.
No, I said I would start with the assumption that they might be, just because
Well, take a look at them.
I have no knowledge of them, nor has anyone in this room given any indication of the source of the documents.
Look at the document.
So as far as I know, they might have been
time.
invented just like the videotapes
I would love to
have
see
been
them
invented.
tell the panel today what has been doctored in Exhibit B2.
Exhibit B2.
This is the document that shows
let me
that
find it.
an abortion provider can have financial profitability.
Well, actually, no, it doesn't say that at all. This obviously refers to adult
have some.
tissue as well as any other kind. This is not limited. I looked at B2, sir, and it's clear that this is talking about adult tissue, which is far differently regulated.
That is not true.
Tissue.
It's talking about fetal tissue. It
I'm
says it
looking at-
clearly.
It says fetal
It
to
talks
adult
about-
tissue.
Yeah.
It says fetal and adult.
Right on its face.
No,
It wasn't
says
doctored enough.
Stem cell rich blood.
It's been redacted in certain ways that I
It
can't
says
tell what's
fetal. The
redacted.
document says fetal tissue.
right here, fetal DNA.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I will not.
Okay.
And it also talks about stem cell rich blood and raw materials. Does anybody know when they say raw materials what that's referring to?
Perhaps
Raw mat-
adult tissue.
Adult.
It certainly applies to both adult and fetal,
so,
and I
uh,
can't
so
tell from the
are there-
blacked out
Even if it
part.
does apply to both,
To the
it's
panel.
still an offense because it does apply to fetal.
If this document is being sent out during the National Abortion Provider Conference and they're talking about adult tissue, is that your testimony today, Ms. Clayton? And we're not talking about fetal tissue?
Is what my testimony?
That this document is referring to adult tissue when it's being
I
provided
have
to the,
no
the
idea.
National
All I
Abortion
can,
Provider Conference?
Sir, all I can tell you is that it's clear from reading this document that it is not limited to fetal tissue.
one last-
And, sir, if I may finish
One
answering.
last question.
The regulations
One last
for
question.
adult are
Gentlemen,
entirely
There's been a lot of conversation on the
Gentleman's
Hill
time has
about money
expired.
involved in politics. Has anybody on this panel
Gentleman's
made any
time has
contribution to
expired.
any of the members that sit on this panel? If so, raise your hand if you've made a contribution to anybody on the panel.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I yield back.